Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of DPX Live. I'm your host, Joe Warner. Brandy's not with us tonight. She had a family emergency last minute. So hope everything's all right with her and her family. She'll be back next week. I'm sure she'll be watching for a little bit, so I'm sure she'll interact at some point in the chat room. Again, thank you for taking your time each week and tuning in for the show. If you're watching, go ahead and put in the chat where you're watching from. I'll give you a shout out. We got a great show tonight, but before we do, DPX, Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, we have a few new members. So without further ado, I just want to give a quick shout out to them, and here they are. So we got Teresa, Jenny, and Christopher. They all have different styles of investigating. Great people. They've been at a lot of our events. So come to our events, meet them. They're great people. We'll have them on the show here pretty soon. DPX, we had a good opportunity this past weekend. We got to investigate the Bonstell Theater, which is in Detroit. Some really cool history with that. I wish Brandy was here because Brandy and I actually had a really cool experience where we were trying to figure out where to put the cameras, and we wound up actually hearing a music box playing, and then when we went up to up to the attic where we weren't supposed to be, we actually heard a woman singing opera, and it was like really beautiful music too. Unfortunately, we didn't have a recorder at that time, so that's our own fault. But we caught some good stuff there. We did have the live stream going. Those are our live stream cameras. I did a quick picture of that. We had some new technology on the camera that we were using. All in all, really cool experience. We're going over the evidence with that. So that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. As always, if you haven't done so already, you can go to our Facebook page, Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, and hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our group. We have a lot of events coming up. If you subscribe, you'll be the first one to know. The Eloise event that we have coming up this Friday actually sold out, and I think it was less than 2 days. We have some other events coming up that I'll talk about at the end of the show. So without further ado, enough talking about me. Let's talk about the Weird Weekends crew. So let's go ahead and bring them in.
Hi.
Hey, so we got Donnie and we got Lindsay. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. Donnie, how are you today?
I'm good. You, Joe?
Fantastic. Just got done working and now I'm here with you guys.
No
Nice.
rest, right?
No rest for the weary at all. Thank you for taking time out, coming on the show. I had a pleasure of meeting you guys not too long ago at our event. They came to Eloise. We put an event up with some amazing people. I know we've caught some amazing evidence there that we're still going through, but we have a little that we are going to show tonight. But tell everyone that's watching a little bit about your group, the Weird Weekends.
Weird Weekends started in 2017. I've been doing events with other groups for over a decade now, and I had some ideas on how I wanted to do events and what I was looking for in events. And the one thing that I thought about was price. You know, I've I've been blessed to go to a lot of places and see a lot of things doing events, and I wanted to give people the opportunity to go to some of these places that I've been to and it not cost them an arm and a leg to do it. So my whole goal with starting Weird Weekends was to make it more affordable for everybody so they could actually come out and investigate awesome places with awesome people.
Well said. Lindsay, how'd you get involved in it?
Well, I had started investigating with Donnie right before he started Weird Weekends. And we met through Wendy, who's also part of Weird Weekends. I met her, she introduced me to Donnie. And then when Donnie started Weird Weekends, he asked us to both help him with it. So that's how we kind of started.
And the rest is history. And
That's right.
if I know we've mentioned it a few times on the show, but Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, we are affiliated with Weird Weekends, and we just did an event at, like I just said, at Eloise, and we had Gina Marie and Ken Boggle there as well. And that's one of the things that I like about how you guys do your events. It's not just the group investigating. You bring in other aspects of it. Can you tell everyone a little bit more about like some of the extra stuff that you bring into your events?
Like the Eloise event, we brought in two psychic mediums, uh, which I don't think it had been done at Eloise prior to that. I may be wrong. Um,
At least
but
gallery reading.
yes, we did have a gallery reading while we were there. And that's one thing that we try to do with our events now. We actually manage quite a few psychic mediums, and we try to bring in the investigative side as well as the psychic medium side, and kind of see if they can correlate with each other. So for me, that's kind of an interesting thing that not a lot of people are doing right now.
I agree. And I had my show a few weeks ago with Adam, and all the evidence from that show was actually from your event.
Yeah.
Every single piece of evidence from from that show was from your event. Real quick, just want
It
to
was
give
an interesting night for sure.
yes, it was. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Michelle from Port Huron, Michigan, Kara from Howell, Valley Spirit Communications says hi from California. Thank you for watching from California, Tammy. I appreciate it. And Sheila's in here. Hello to you. Again, if you're in the chat room, go ahead and put where you're from, any questions, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. You guys have an event coming up here pretty soon. It's going to be at the Para Cafe 101. So let's look at that slide right quick. Tell us a little bit about the event. How'd you guys get rolling on this one?
I actually came across the Para Cafe listening to one of your guests talk about it, and it kind of sparked an interest in me. So I contacted them and actually went up to the Para Cafe and walked it. And after I walked it, I was like, well, we got to have an event here. This is an awesome place. And I'm surprised I hadn't heard about it before. And I sit down with the owner and I actually said, we have all these amazing people that we work with, who would you want to come to this event? And she actually picked Brian Danhausen and the Southern Gypsies. So going forward, I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And that's, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I wasn't actually planning on doing an event there, but like I said, I walked the place and the energy of it was just amazing. And actually, we got a couple of EVPs just doing the walk through the place.
That's great.
As far as, a little bit of the history of it is it was a bordello, it was a speakeasy. It was also believed to be a stop on the Underground Railroad. So all those things in one place just kind of boggled my mind that it could be so many different things and have so much different energy there.
Absolutely. Lindsay, have you ever been there before?
I have not.
So it's going to be a first time experience for you.
It is. And when he went to tour, he called me immediately and he said, I've already booked it. We're going to do this event. I'm like, whoa, it must have impressed you that much.
Yeah, definitely.
Within hours.
Well, I've never been there and I'm actually going to come. So I'm actually really excited to check it out because like you said, I've talked about it on the show, been talking with you guys about it. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be November 1st and 2nd, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the Southern Gypsies, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Lindsay, describe them for you.
The Southern Gypsies, they're amazing. They all do something a little bit different. Misty and Ashley are both tarot readers. Holly is an energy healer and reader. So combined, they can do pretty awesome things. They will stop that they will tell you during a reading, which we've both had readings from every single one of them.
Yep.
I think one of your guys' mics is interfering a little bit.
It's probably Donnie.
Are you using a headset mic or?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right, I think we're good now. I know it was interfering just a little bit. Jason, hello from Houston. Thank you for joining. So Brian, tell us a little bit about Brian because I've seen his name popping up a lot lately.
Brian does something I've never seen anyone else do before. He does energy paintings,
Okay.
and he actually reads your energy and does these paintings. And then when he gets done, he just tells you exactly what he's painted. And I've had a couple, and they've been dead on with what I was going through at the time. And, I don't know of anybody else that does anything like that he does. And he won't go out and say, but he's a psychic medium too. He can walk through places and he gets impressions and feelings and you know so he's still learning, but he's amazing what he does.
The painting sounds very very interesting to me because like I said, his name's been popping up a lot lately on my Facebook page,
Yeah,
and I've kind of seen some of the stuff that he's done, and it's pretty incredible.
it is. You have to have a reading done when you come to Indiana.
Well, do I have a choice?
No,
Exactly.
no.
I was gonna say I don't think I really have a choice on that matter.
And
So,
like I said, I don't know of anybody else that does that. He
mhm.
is the only person I've ever seen that does paintings, energy paintings, and he's also an excellent painter as well. He does all kinds of portraits and things.
Well, that's cool. I'm definitely stoked for that. That's something I've never experienced, so it's gonna be new for me. So, like I said, I don't think I have a choice. I'll be doing it.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
He'll blow.
Well, I think if you guys know enough about me from with investigating with me a few times, I'll pretty much do anything. So
That's true.
I'll
Yep.
try it. I'll give it a whirl. So let's go over some evidence now. I know you sent me a few things. So first thing I want to do is the Monroe House. How did you guys get to that location? What drew you to that spot? I guess you could say.
Um, Wendy had been there a few times, and we were looking at a place to film some things. So it was close to where she lived, and we decided to go check it out. I'd never been there. I had actually at the time never heard about it. So it was one of those things. Me personally, I'm drawn to places that I don't know a whole lot about. You
Hmm.
see a lot of places on TV and everybody wants to go to those places, but it's those hidden places that nobody seems to know about, which now a majority of people know about the Monroe House, but it's those hidden gems that I look for.
Yeah, I've seen the Monroe House. Like I've never knew about it until popped up on TV a billion times now, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a unique location. And the
Absolutely.
clip the clip we're gonna show first is I believe with Wendy, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so Wendy, to set the stage a little bit, Wendy was in the house alone, and then I believe you guys left to go get food, and you left the cameras rolling.
Yes.
So the first clip that we're gonna show, it's kind of like the static cameras that we do, but it actually catches something. So we're gonna play the clip, and then we'll talk about it.
I have arrived at the Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana, where I will be doing an investigation alone tonight.
So now, what I find interesting about that is this next clip I'm gonna play. I know people could say, all right, motion sensors, whatever you want to say, but this next clip, the light switch itself is interesting. So let's go ahead and play that.
Left the cameras rolling, and I just want to show you how hard it is to actually flip on this light and how hard it is to use this switch. It's one of the old switches, so you have to really turn it on. Be hard.
So it's interesting because
Absolutely.
I mean, you got it on the 2 camera views, which is cool. And then which was smart, was going back and Wendy was testing it out, which we all try to debunk things, which is a good thing to do. But the switch itself, I mean, she put a lot of effort to flip it up and flip it down. So what happened? You guys came back and you noticed the lights were on?
Yeah, we had made sure that we turned off all the lights before we left and came back and the light was on. And I think she's the one that pointed out, she's like, who left the hallway light on? And I was like, no, we turned all the lights off before we left. And we went back and watched the video, and that's what we captured. And the cool thing about the video is it shows 2 different angles,
Mhm.
and the only way into that area is from either of those 2 angles. So I was really happy that we were able to catch both sides of that. So you could actually see that there was nobody in the house that could turn the light on.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. And to let Jason just commented, yeah, no one was in the house during that time. You guys went to go get food, just to be,
Correct.
confirm on that. So, to have that happen while you guys aren't there, and I know Wendy had a lot of experiences while she was there, because she was in there alone for most of the time, I think, right?
Uh, Almost 90% of the time she was in there by herself.
Brave soul. She's like me. I just go and do it, right?
Well, it wasn't always happy times for her. She had to she had to be pushed a little bit at some points, but yeah, she went in there. She was a trooper.
Well, that's good. I know she was a trooper at Elway's too, so I give her credit. Good job.
Absolutely.
Just a few more comments here. Tammy wants to know what you guys are going to be doing for National Ghost Hunting Day, September 28th. Do you have any plans for it?
Um, I do, but I don't think I'm supposed to say.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be a secret. So
And Lindsay's lips are closed, so
Yeah.
not supposed to say. All right, fine, fine.
Sorry, Joe.
Hey, that's all right. I think I'm working that day, so I don't know if I'm gonna be doing much. And then Jason wants to know what my plans are for Halloween. Well, I'll probably be dressing up as a police officer because I think I'm working that day too. So it is what it
Joe.
is. I work all the time. I'm used to it.
That's true.
So let's move on to the next piece of evidence. It's the Thornhaven Manor. Hold on. Click the screen off. Click the screen off. There you go. There we go. Hit the wrong slide. There we go. So let's play this one. So we're gonna play that again in a second. I just wanted to play it first so everyone heard it. Once again, there's only one person in the place, correct?
actually, we were all in the place.
Okay.
What had happened was we were all upstairs, and Wendy had like a coughing spell. So she had left all of us upstairs and went downstairs to get a drink of water. The thing of it was she actually had a microphone on, and that's what was captured on the microphone that she had on.
So it
Gotcha.
was just her walking through the first floor of Thornhaven.
And the microphones, I mean, it's kind of like the lapel mics where it's kind of unique to yourself, where it won't pick up
Right.
a lot of anybody else's voice. And what's interesting from what I heard, it sounded like a kid laughing. And you could hear it.
That's
You could hear it before the cough, during the cough, and after the cough.
Yeah, and that's what I heard too. And to know that there weren't any children in the building, and I'm sitting there reviewing, and I hear that come over the thing, it's pretty hair raising at the time.
Yeah, it's one of those. You take the headphones off, you lean back a sec, and did I really just hear that? And then
Right.
you go back and you listen to it. Like me, as soon as I catch something, I think I send it to like 10 people. I'm like, hey, what do you think? What do you think?
And it was
Well-
kind of the same situation with this too. But Donnie does not like children spirits. Like it creeps him out. So when that came and he is the one that found that evidence. Poor guy.
Probably ran out of his house.
Yeah.
Well, let's play now that we talked about it. Let's play it again so everyone can kind of hear it. It's so creepy because it's like that sinister kind of laugh to it.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
it's a up to no good laugh is the way I would describe it.
And
It's
poor Wendy was fighting the flu that night.
Yeah,
maybe it was laughing at her because she was sick.
Maybe.
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 So the next thing we got is a picture. Let's go ahead and pop it up here. So this picture is kind of interesting. Lindsay, go ahead and talk about it.
I can barely see it, but this is Perryville Battlefield, which is in Kentucky. And there was no one out there. Is this the Cannon one? Because we've got a couple from there.
Yep, this is the
Yes.
Canon
Yeah,
one.
is that what it is? Okay. But if you look right in the middle, you can see like the Cannon wheel.
Right over in that area.
Yep.
And then what else do you think is in it? Because I see something else in it as well,
And then it looks like there's a soldier standing there.
which
As
would
well.
be right about there. And what's really interesting about it is the wheels of the Canon. If you really look at it, and I'll post this later so you can pull it up on your phone and zoom in on it if you want to. But it has like the old just the wheel and then the spokes, and like you can almost
Yeah,
see like the metal in it itself, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. absolutely.
So when did you guys realize you captured that one?
That was fairly quickly. It was actually a tour, and it was a coworker of mine had came on the tour, and we were walking up a hill, and she felt like there was somebody behind her, so she just turned around and took a picture, and that's what she captured. So it was one of those first timers captures the best evidence for some reason.
Hey, some people get lucky.
Yeah.
That's true.
What kind of other stuff did you capture there?
Oh, Perryville. I've been there, I don't know how many times. I've seen full bodied apparitions there. One thing that you can hear almost every time you go out
Every
there would
time.
be cannon fire, gunfire. We've captured what sounds like soldiers fighting, disembodied voices. It's all out there.
How many times have you been to that location?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Uh,
Tons
it's
and tons
probably
of times.
50, 60 times easy.
It's not
So-
too far from her house, so it's
Oh,
pretty
No.
easy.
Well, you're lucky on that aspect then.
Yeah.
So that definitely is a cool place. I like the open field aspect too. It's kind of like the photo that I caught when I was working at Fatality years ago, where you feel it, you don't realize you catch it, and then when you look at it, you catch it, but it's an outside thing. It's not inside, so it's a little different.
Absolutely.
Definitely a good catch. So
Yes.
let's move on to one of the things that I didn't even know you guys captured this until Donnie sent it to me. I had no idea about it. It's an EVP with Ken Boggle.
Okay.
Yes, because in this room, these walls weren't there. It was just back after back. Yeah.
But didn't I like the restraints? And I keep feeling like they're putting something between their teeth. So I guess this is people who also have medical issues, seizures, and things like that.
So it's interesting because I think I'm thinking it's saying sit. That's what I hear.
That's what I hear too.
That's what you hear. So I hear sit, and what's interesting about it, he's talking about stuff that's related to sitting,
Right.
and he's walking around because he's asking questions, and it almost sounds like it's telling him to sit because he's talking about procedures and stuff like that. I don't know what floor that was because there's a few rooms that look identical, but it looks like it's probably the fourth floor. I think it is.
I believe it
It's
was the second floor.
I
the
believe
second.
so, yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
actually, it was a disembodied voice. And it's on our Facebook page if anybody wants to go watch it. Uh, a few seconds after that, I'm looking around and I'm like, did anybody else hear that? And Steve, another one of our Weird Weekends crew, he looks at me. He's like, yeah, I heard it too. So we, it kind of threw us back, and we actually walked down the hall a little ways, and we got a hey that came too. Another disembodied voice, sounded like the same voice. So I believe somebody was following us around in there,
Hmm.
trying to get our attention.
Which I hate to say, Eloise is notorious for.
Yeah.
Because that was your second time there, right? At that point, or second
Yes.
or. So what's your thoughts of Eloise now that we're on it? The event's over.
It's an amazing location. Never disappoints.
Donnie.
And it was one of those places that it seemed like it was quiet for a long time because we were there all day long.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it seemed like the energy would spike up and then it would just dissipate. And then later that night, it seemed like somebody
Oh.
just opened the door and
Yeah.
everything flew open.
Yeah, because
You know, people, you all walked down with your eyes
Mhm.
bug-eyed and telling us about doors slamming shut. And, you know, I
I
think we
t-
kind of started the perfect storm there with everybody that was there.
Well, and I actually captured a few things during the day. I know Gina Marie posted one of them where she was walking into the room with the bed, and you could just clearly see this white ball just follow her right in there. And then I know you and I were on the second floor, and we were using one of your pieces of equipment, and we were asking what scratched me, and that loud, sinister voice came through, and that opened or that started the night for me. Everything just happened after that.
Yeah, and it seemed like uh, when we were doing that, it was more trying to get answers for you, and I think it left you with more questions than it did answers. But it seemed like from that moment forward, uh, things just kept amping up and amping up.
Yep, I agree. What was your favorite portion of the night?
Ooh, that's tough. Ah, Donnie, I don't know
Uh,
because we had so much activity in different parts of the building.
Hmm. Well, let,
You
let
had the
me.
one staircase, which I think everybody called it the dark staircase, but every medium or sensitive that walked by there stopped and stared in there.
That's going to be on
We
the.
heard,
That was the east staircase.
yeah,
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
but
that's a
that's
creepy
hard to
one.
narrow it down.
Yeah, that one's always been creepy. I've always passed by that staircase and just kind of stop and look. And I know when we were doing the walkthrough with Ken, we stopped and we kept hearing stuff, and then I actually saw something run down the stairs. Um, I think I think we were off a live feed at that point, but that started a lot of stuff right there because that was right where the offices were on that side. Yeah, that staircase is just something else. What's your favorite place in the or favorite portion of the building, Donnie?
the second floor seemed really active for me. We actually ended on the second floor. We ended the tour there with a couple of people, and we got quite a lot of EVPs back there. So for whatever reason, it seemed like I was drawn more to the second floor than I was any floor.
Place
I
is
would agree.
well. I'm glad you guys had fun there because
Yeah.
I actually don't know anyone who hasn't had a good time there. To be honest with you, so I
I
mean,
don't think it's possible.
no, it's. I think Brandy and I kind of talked about it last week. It's one of those places where first time you go there, it's slowly introduces it, and then the more you come, like it feels you out, and gets you, it gets you more, and then when it feels you out enough, it just lets it rip and it gives it to you.
Oh, I imagine.
And we've been there. I was sitting there thinking we've been there 3 times, but it would take you, I think, you would have to investigate it every day for a month just to hit every corner of it.
Yep.
It's so massive.
Well, there's times we were just there on this past Sunday. There's still things that I'm finding, and one of the things that we hadn't seen in a while is one of the things that it said fallout shelter, and it disappeared off the wall like months and months and months ago, and I randomly just found it in a room on Sunday. Just looked down and I was like, oh, what's this? Picked it up and there it was. And then
Wow.
I went into another room and there was a security paper on the floor from 2001. And you guys know I cleaned every inch of that building, so I don't know where that came from. Just so everyone knows, if you're watching from my Facebook page, the chat are not coming through for some reason. I'll have to look at that. But I got Jaden watching the chat, and there are some questions coming in. So there's a question. What is your favorite piece of equipment and why?
Go for it, Donnie.
Uh,
I already know.
you already know.
I already know.
I would say my favorite piece of equipment would be a recorder. I mean, you can actually get responses back and hear the voices come through, and it's so the adrenaline starts pumping when you hear that voice come through that isn't anybody that was with you at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like we do use REM pods a lot. We also app wise we use the Phasma box a lot, and we just started using the SLS camera this last what was it, 2 weeks ago?
2 weekends ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, is the SLS camera, because once you capture one thing on it, you're addicted to it, and you just go everywhere with it, trying to
That's
capture
right.
anything and everything with it.
Yes.
I like the recorder you had, Donnie, and Brandy and I actually used it not too long ago. It's the one that just records just when it hears noises.
Yes, the RDR60.
Yes, that one.
That one was made in the 90s. It was what they call a first generation recorder. It was used for dictation for doctors and lawyers. They were getting them sent back because they were told that they were malfunctioning, that they were getting voices come through that wasn't their voice. So they
shocker.
said something's wrong with them.
Right.
And somebody in the paranormal field said, we need to get a hold of this and take a look and see what's going on. And they realized that they were actually getting voices from the other side coming through. They're highly sought after because they're not made anymore. They quit making them in the 90s. So if you're wanting one of those, you're going to have to get on eBay and pay a pretty penny to have one. But
Yeah, I think
they
last
are
time-
really good for events and for quick playbacks.
Yeah, I think the last time I
No
looked,
white.
I think they were a little over $1,000. So hard
Yeah.
to come by, very hard to come by. When Brandy and I just went down to Ohio, and we did a quick little investigation there on Thursday, and one of the guys that came with us had one, and I tell you what, that thing is amazing, because you're watching it because it's blinking, and then when it captures something, it goes red, and when it goes steady red, it's just like, dang. Jason, they are not available. They might be available. I don't think they're available on Amazon, just because they don't make them anymore.
No.
You would
Yeah,
probably have to go to
the only place you're
eBay.
going to find them is on eBay, or you might get lucky and find them at a yard sale. If you do, pick them up.
Yeah. Well, I know the guy that we investigated with picked it up very cheap at a garage sale along with some other stuff, because he said that the lady selling them didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
So, her loss is his gain, I guess.
That's right.
exactly.
He had a great
That's
pot.
why I love hitting yard sales and pawn shops, because a lot of times they don't know what they want. Pawn shops nowadays, they look online and see what they got, but back in the day, you could go in and get some good stuff for little to nothing.
Absolutely. So let me ask you another question. I know I kind of hit on it a little bit. What is your favorite location and why?
Lindsay already knows the answer to this one.
She knows the answer to everything.
Yeah.
We'll just fade your
Octagon
screen
Hall.
out. We'll just keep Lindsay.
Yeah. Octagon Hall, Franklin, Kentucky is a place close to my heart. I've been there over a dozen times. I think it was one of the first places I actually truly investigated, and it draws you back. Um, I've had numerous things happen there, and I always love going back there and investigating it. And I'll go any chance I can get.
Lindsay?
Oh,
I know it's a
you
toughie.
know, it is. We've been to so many awesome places. The place I would probably want to get back to, because it was so fascinating, was the Old Park Hotel in Texas.
Why is that?
That
Why-
I feel like we barely even scratched the surface on that. And it was very, very active. I've never seen anything shake Donnie, and that place did.
Really?
So, yeah,
Was it a
I would
kid?
say that's at the top of my list of wanting to get back down there.
So, one question I always like to ask everyone, because I'm always interested, is how did you get into the paranormal? Like, is there an experience? Is there what drew you into it and makes you keep going?
Well, for me, it was a couple things. I had an experience when I was about 9 or 10 that I couldn't explain, and uh, I think I've been trying to figure out the answer to that ever since. Also, my father's a minister, so you have that whole spiritual side that I've grown up in, and anybody that's ever thought about death or anything wants to know if there's an afterlife, and you try to rationalize or try to get answers for yourself. And this was one way that I could try to get those answers for myself. And in doing so, I also found a path of being able to help other people and try to help them understand what they're going through. Uh, so it's been quite a few things for me that got me into it.
Lindsay?
For me, it was the same. I had experiences when I was probably 8 to 12,
Okay.
was the most. And so that I was interested. What was that? Why did it happen? So that's what got me interested, is I wanted to know for myself, was this what I was seeing? Is this, so that's what got me into it.
And for me, and you guys are probably the same way. Once you get that little piece, it's just a niche, and you get a little bit more, and then you get a little bit more, and you just keep going and going and going, and it just gets better and better. And like some of the evidence, we showed from you guys today. It's just when you capture just that little thing, and it's just you're so proud of it. It's like you just want to show everybody, and well, it's a joy. I will say that.
Absolutely.
So looks like some of the comments are not coming through. I don't know if it's from my page or not, but again, I'll try to figure it out. I apologize. I'll look at them afterwards, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. But thank you, Amy, for joining. Adam's here. Hey, Adam. Brandy's in. Brandy, thank you. Stick through to the end, because I got a surprise for you, Brandy. And Jason's still with us, so thank you everyone that's still with us. If I didn't say your name, you're from another page, I apologize. I'll make sure to comment. So let's move on. I had a little piece of Eloise evidence that I showed you guys beforehand. I think it's pretty cool. I'm gonna let everyone kind of make their own opinion of it. I know what I see in it. I know we talked about it beforehand. But I made a little clip of it. It's the raw footage, the zoomed in raw footage. It's going to be the slow motion of it. And then there's a picture at the end. And then I'll say what I see. You guys can comment afterwards if you want. And then we'll show the video again. I think it's a pretty cool piece of Eloise evidence. So let's go ahead and check it out. And yes, I wear other than black shirts. That picture proves it. All right, so this is an interesting clip, and I didn't really know I captured it till I kind of started reviewing some more stuff. To set the stage, we just got to the third floor. If you watch the show with Brandy and Angel, this is right before Angel got really affected personally, and the certain thing came through the box, which I'm not going to repeat because I know it's not a sensitive topic, but it's a personal thing, and we talked about it once. I don't want to bring it up again. So
Right.
we just got to the second floor, or I'm sorry, the third floor, and to me, when I first looked at it, I'm like, all right, it could be in the room. That's kind of weird because we're using the dead light, and I know you guys have the same light, which is absolutely amazing, and you can
It
really
is.
tell the difference between a bug and something that's not a bug. And I haven't seen dust come through it at all, which I love. It completely eliminates the dust. But when I looked at it, I'm like, that's kind of weird because the pane of glass or the part of the window that it came through, there was a pane of glass there, and that's why I showed that last picture with my hand up on it. So I zoomed in on it, and when I zoomed in on it, I could tell that white light, you could tell was far because it was kind of dimmer. But then when it comes up in the view, those pieces of wood that's in the window, it actually goes behind the pieces of wood. It disappears. Then when it comes back towards the camera, and it goes through the glass and it goes in front of the same pieces of wood, now you can see the wood behind it. Then it goes straight to where Angel was, and then right after that is when all that other evidence started coming into play. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, at first you want to think, well, maybe it's a bug outside, but like you said, it seems like it actually comes from the outside and comes into the room, and you can actually see it pass over the panes of the window. And if it was a bug that was outside, it would actually, those
Probably come
panes
in.
block it out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Lindsay?
I agree. That's amazing piece of evidence
You know that
because you can see when it's behind the piece of wood on the window, and then when it's in front.
when I really zoomed it in, and I got a crazy ridiculous screen that I use for editing stuff, so it's really high quality, and my face is always like this close to it. But uh, it's when I zoomed in on it, and that's why I wanted to do the slow mo, and we'll show it again here in a second. You can really see it just disappear behind that wood, and that's what really got me. And I'm like, and I went back and forth on it in a while, but like I said, I show it to a lot of people, and I like the verification from everybody on it. And if I get a lot of or no, then I don't want to show it. It could be either or, and I do have some of those, and they could go either way, which is fine. We leave it up to the viewers. Your interpretation of it, that's fine. I won't be hurt if you say it's not that or whatever. It's just my opinion, and everybody else's. They have the right to their own opinions. But to get that, and when it comes closer, and if you pause it, if you review it later and pause it, when it's the closest to the camera, you could tell it's a piece of energy. There's some sort of energy coming off of it. There's no wings. You can't see the eyes of a bug. It's just like the same thing that I caught with Adam coming in front of the SLS. It's just energy just balled up. And then, like I said, it goes back towards Angel, and, we have a lot more activity happen at that point. And the other thing I wanted to point out is my iPad. I have the live feed on the iPad through the software that we're using through the camera. And if you watch, I actually point up. I'm like, did you see that? Because it was so bright that I saw it on the actual live feed on my iPad. So
Wow.
I thought it was pretty cool. But let's go ahead and play it one more time. When it gets to the slow mo, when there's no audio, I'll kind of give a play by play real quick, and then we'll go from there. So, like I'm saying, if you watch right above program, it will start coming into view right there, and it's pretty light, and then it disappears behind it, and then it comes back into view. It makes a complete directional turn straight right through it. It's in front of the wood, still in front of the wood, and it goes away. And like you see in the picture here, the glass is still exactly the same. There's one broken piece in the bottom middle portion, but other than that, it's solid. I mean, the window's always closed. We always get amazing evidence in that area there.
Yes, you do.
So I mean that,
I think it was very fascinating, for sure.
yeah,
And
that's
the one thing I think about too is the whoever's there is really attracted to you. And it seems like you're always talking about you getting amazing evidence. Well, that's because you got friends there that really like to hang out with you. So
yeah,
you're quite fortunate in that way. I know you've had some incidents that you didn't think were so fortunate, but sometimes we forget that these spirits will do whatever they need to do to get our attention. And sometimes it can feel like it's something negative, and when it's really not, it's just the only way they know how to get our attention. But
yep.
you have been very fortunate to make friends there. Like I said, you lay on that bed, they come running. So
Yeah, we were just there this past weekend, and if you follow our Facebook page and everything, we were with a few high list celebrities, as I call them. But I laid on the bed. We did a little experiment, and there's the clip right now that was posted, and Eloise comes through the box with the app, and it's clear. It is so clear. It just says Eloise. But the other interesting thing is if you watch that clip, and I didn't want to show it in here because I'm going to talk about it a little later in another show because I might have another guest lined up. But you can actually hear a kid laughing, which that room. The only thing you hear is traffic from Michigan Avenue.
yeah,
There's no
Right.
kid, even though there are kids relatively close. There's no noises of kids coming up, and then there's actually a white ball of light that shoots from Jeff down to um, where that person was laying on the bed, which was kind of interesting. So that is coming up. So,
Okay.
but I love the evidence. I love the evidence you guys have, and you sent me a lot, and I wish I could show more, but I only got 1 hour, so we might have to do this. We might have to do this again after the next event.
absolutely.
We can do
I'm
that.
sure we'll have more after the next event. So
I'll bring my friends with me, as you called them.
Do you like how he said fortunate? Do you think that's fortunate, Joe?
I mean, I've had some weird stuff happen in my house
Yes,
lately, and it's Brandy and I were talking about it. I'll just give you a quick thing on it because it's kind of weird. Uh, and actually, it happened with Chris. Chris and I went out for a drink after the event the other night, just to welcome to the group. But whenever I'm doing Eloise evidence, I always get, and I know you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because it's always what I talk about when I'm at Eloise, is I get the cold feeling like I'm being grabbed from around my ankles and my legs, my lower portion of my legs. I constantly said it, and so I'm going over the evidence, and I constantly kept feeling it. Only when I'm doing Eloise evidence, not with your stuff. If I start talking about Eloise, it happens. It's happening right now. There's no air on in my house right now, so I shouldn't be having a cold feeling going around my legs. Brandy picked up on it when she was here because when we started playing the videos, when our mics were off, I said, "Do you feel like someone's grabbing your leg right now?" And she actually said yes. And then when I was out with Chris, I was telling him about it. And as soon as I brought it up and started talking about it, it automatically started happening again. And I said, "Chris, put your hand down here and feel it." And it was ice cold around my legs. So I think there's definitely something following me. But even
well, I think we talked about it when we were at Eloise that you
Mhm.
actually had one that would follow you home.
Yep,
Mhm.
I got a friend.
Yeah.
So Gina Marie said it's a spirit woman that likes you. All right, I can deal with that. Definitely can deal with that. But
Yes.
let's pull up the slide for the Para 101 Cafe again. I want to pull up your flyer here.
Okay.
So I want to talk about that just at the end. We only got a few minutes left. So the Ghost Hunt and Gallery reading. It's with the Southern Gypsies and Brian Danhausen. Am I saying his name right? I always feel like I'm butchering it.
Yes, you're
Okay.
saying it
You got it
correctly.
right.
Thank God. uh, it's November 1st and 2nd. Again, where's the location at? I know it's the 101 Para Cafe, but where is it located?
It's in Winchester, Indiana.
And how can people find out more more information about the event?
If they're wanting to purchase a ticket, they can go to ticketstripe.com/101 Para Cafe.
And
Uh, we will be having a dinner both nights with a gallery reading. The Gypsies are going to be doing a seance and then we're going to have a investigation of the place. So they enjoy doing seances. We haven't been able to witness one in person. We've seen them do them live on Facebook, but this will be the first time we actually get to witness one personally. And I think the results are going to be pretty mind blowing at this location.
Well, I know I'm going to bring extra batteries, extra memory cards,
That's a
tons
good
of batteries,
idea.
tons of battery for that deadlight. So we'll have cameras around all angles, and we're definitely going to capture it. That's for sure. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I know we only had a short period of time, and Donnie, I really appreciate you sending me all that stuff. I have it all saved. Plan on using some more of it in the future, because I definitely want to have you guys on, since we're always talking about going to do stuff. So the more evidence, the better, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to
You
thank
have
you
to get your
guys.
work schedule under control so you can go on more things.
It might be. It's in the works. It might happen in a few weeks, and then I'll have some free weekends where I'll be able to travel if my wife lets me.
Okay.
I think she's watching the show upstairs somewhere. No banging on the floor yet, so we're good.
There you go.
So thank you guys again. Go ahead and stick around so I can talk to you guys after the show real quick. We're just going to mute your mics, and then I'll get back to you guys in a few minutes.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Great show, great people, great event coming up. I had a blast with them at Eloise. Everyone from the Weird Weekend crew. Unbelievable time. I'm super excited to see what happens at the event coming up. So do purchase tickets for it. Come out, hang out with us. You won't be disappointed, and you might wind up on the show. You never know. Always bringing people on. So thanks again. We do have events coming up for Detroit Paranormal Expeditions. We have the Pilot House and Gross Eel coming up here pretty soon, and then we also have the Detroit 6 Precinct. I would say we have Eloise, but it's sold out, so you missed your chance. So go to Facebook, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, so you can know about all of our events. Real quick, I just want to say Brandy and I had a little argument at Eloise the other night about a piece of equipment that I found. She said it was a juicer. I said it was a potato masher. I believe we have a picture of it. Yep. So that right there was that, and it was a potato ricer. I was right. You were wrong.
Loser!
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Make sure you tune in next week, September 17th at 9 p.m. We're going to have Phil Sinclair on live. He's from the UK, brings a completely different take on the paranormal and the way he does his investigations. So not a show you're going to want to miss. Thank you again for tuning in.